Hi, I'm James from Montbell and we're having a look at our range of trekking poles. So the most basic pole in the range is the alpine pole, but we've got a really great molded handle that's going to feel comfortable when you're using it all day. And the strap here, you can use for support so that you don't have to grip the pole really tightly. You can use the strap to support your weight. And then you can also use it to free up your hands when you want to do something like take a photo during the day. And we've got this lightweight but strong aluminium shaft. Aluminium's a great material. It's super strong, but it's really, really light. And this is a telescopically adjusting pole. And to tighten it up, we screw the mechanism in like this. Now that's a good system because you can feel when it's tight, you know that that's going to be secure. The pole has 3 sections so that it can fold down nice and compact. And down here we have a basket. That's to stop the pole going in too deeply into the ground. And we also have a removable point protector. You might have to use this inside or on protected trails, but this will dig really nicely in and give you super good grip and softer ground. Now the next step up from there adds the anti-shock feature. So anti-shock puts a spring mechanism inside the pole that dampens the energy transmission into your elbow. When we're walking, we're not going to put so much weight on the pole that we compress the spring. So you can see the shock absorbing mechanism working here, but that's not what's happening when we're walking. When we're walking, we're banging it on the ground tens of thousands of times during the day, and that shock is just going to be transmitted into your elbow. And you can really feel a big difference when you tap the ground between the anti-shock version and the non-anti-shock version. The Camlock pole uses a different type of mechanism to adjust the length. Now, the advantage of that system is that it just uses your finger strength and not your hand strength to make it in tight. One problem with it is that you do have to get in and make sure that you adjust the screw lock as well. And it's just never going to be as secure as the really strong rotational system. Now the other thing you can use this pole for is adjusting a lightweight tent where it might not come with its own poles. You might have to use your walking poles, and this will allow you to pull it up and down and get it to the right length without having to rotate the tent, which could cause problems with the way it's sitting on the top of the pole. Now we can go even lighter again when we go to the carbon pole. And this is noticeably lighter. As soon as you pick it up, it feels a lot lighter. It could be 30% lighter. It's not just the carbon shaft, but it's also the foam handle here and the lightweight mesh strap. And you can really feel the weight difference. Now that carbon pole comes in both the screw lock system and the carbon lock. So whichever one you're most comfortable with, you can choose the one that works for you. Now we move into some other interesting features. The photo pole has a mount for your camera concealed underneath the top of the handle. So you can still use it comfortably on the top of your hand, but you can mount your camera to the top of that. Now the pole extends out longer than the other poles, up to 145 centimeters. Now that's going to be useful for a photographer who wants to stabilize their camera for a long shot, maybe a time lapse, maybe a long zoom. Nobody can carry a tripod into the mountains on their lightweight hike, but this will certainly come in handy. The TGrip pole is used differently. The shaft is much shorter, so we're going to use the pole down here with a straight arm. And if you have a bad leg or a bad knee or bad hip, you're able to take a considerable amount of weight off that leg and walk without exposing your joints to as much weight. So it's not like the sport walking poles that are used out here, but down here. TwoWay Grip. This is actually a pole that was developed by a suggestion from one of the Montbell, Japan employees. And we've got our TGrip that we can use for supporting our weight, but we also have the sport handle so we can use the pole out in front of us. And this has the anti-shock feature so that when you're using it as a sport walking pole, you're not going to get the shock transmitted into your elbow. Whereas it's just not a necessary feature for a standard kind of TGrip walking stick pole. Now the lightest pole of all is this little guy, and it's really convenient and quick to deploy. This sort of pole is never going to be as strong as the other ones, but it still does the job just fine. And if you want something that's ultimately lightweight, this is considerably lighter. It also packs down a great deal smaller than the other poles, so it's really good for travel. So in summary, you can choose from a lightweight aluminium pole. You can go for an anti-shock to deaden that transmission into your elbow. If you really want to feel lightweight, the carbon is definitely noticeably lighter. And you can choose from either of the different methods used to secure its length. We've got the photo pole, which you can use as a monopod for your camera. We've got the TGrip, which is good for that bad leg, or the TwoWay Grip, which gives you the option for both. And for the true ultralighter, the folding pole.